Okay, breaking down a salmon. This is just one way to do it, one of many ways. This is the way we do it to get the actual portions we want for the uses we want. So we start by scaling the salmon. This is going to remove the scales that get in the way of the cutting. They damage your blade, dull your blade, and they prevent you from making clean cuts through the actual skin. Just make sure you're doing it with lots of icy cold water and the meat stays cold the whole time. Once you're done, dry it off. Get it on a nice dry workstation and you can begin your actual butchery. We start with cutting the fins. We just remove them because they once again get in the way as your knife's exiting the carcass. They kind of steer your knife up and down so they get in the way of a nice clean cut. We're going to remove the head first. This way it'll give us access to the front of the fish in a nice even playing field. Otherwise you have to angle your knife and damage the meat to really get in behind the collars. So head comes off. Now we're going to cut off the collars and you go right behind the bone, and once you get to the spine here you just snap it off a little bit. So that's one collar. Repeat on the other side, same thing. And then right behind the body cavity you're going to cut the back half off, and you don't have to do this, you can take one whole side off, but we do this because we use the back half for different things and it makes the fillet a little more uniform. So the tail is going to be chewier, more tendon, so we use that for other things. So you essentially just fillet it as you would if it was on the whole fish. Just cut from the back side above the rib bones, cut right to the spine, and then you go around the spine. And you remove both sides just like this. You can feel with the tip of your knife, just pressing with the back of it. You're not actually pressing with the blade. Then you glide along the rib bones and remove that top half of the fillet right there. And once again, this tail you use for all sorts of other stuff. You can roast it, but it'll be dry and a little chewy, so we grind it, chop it up, use it for tartare, use it for experiments for the other stuff we're actually going to want to serve. That's usually the most likely outcome for us. Use it to experiment with. So once you have the tail off of the spine and ribs, just do a little bit of trimming and you're good to go there. For the main loin, you want to start at the front and press with the back of your knife against the spine and click through all the ribs all the way to get to the end. And you don't want to be doing any lifting or tugging on the fillet, you just want to roll it off just like that. That's how you don't damage the actual muscles itself. Same thing on the other side, you just cut through the ribs, and here you're kind of pressing up because the meat side's down here, so pressing upwards with the back of your knife against the spine. And obviously the fillet looks a little rough, but that's a good thing because we have extra tissue to work with. So we trim away collagen, extra skin, extra fat, and we have a nice beautiful loin. Not actually cutting the meat here, just the actual trimming. Here we're going to separate the loin from the belly, and you don't have to do this obviously, this is just one way. The most common way we serve salmon is we serve the loin one way, the belly another, collars another. So we just want this nice loin piece for portioning. You want to avoid touching the meat as much as possible. Keep your hand on the board, keep your hand in one position, keep your hand on the knife. Just don't want to warm up the meat and warm up the fat. Those are your main four parts. You got 2 tails, 2 bellies, and 2 loins. You'll also have other scraps obviously, fins, tails, collars, heads. You can make broths and all that stuff too.